to another episode of Trash Talk on Lancer, Long Rim Edition. In today's episode, Atlas. The Attacus atlas moth is a moth of Saturniidae family native to the forests of Asia. It is one of the largest moths in the world and is only second place behind white witch in terms of wingspan and Hercules in terms of surface area. So of course, being one of the largest moths on Earth, Atlas is one of the smallest Smith Shimano Core Pro mech. However, size clearly didn't matter at all, as Atlas can easily beat down on anything that's larger than it. Looking at its stat, Atlas has low health, slightly terrible E-defense but high evasion, it's really fast while being small, has a terrible heat cap, along with a horrible sensor range and tech attack bonus. However, it made up for that with a list of 4 traits instead. First, Giant Killer, Atlas counts as size 1 for the purpose of both ramming and grappling. It also ignores engagement from anyone larger than it, could stand in their space with no problem, even hostile one, and move through their space without issue. When sharing space with any character, Atlas gains soft cover, even from said character. Second, Jaeger Dodge, for once per round, when Atlas takes damage from a character that's larger than it, it can gain resistance to that damage and move 3 spaces in any direction as a reaction, ignoring engagement and reactions. Third, Finishing Blow, for once per round, against any prone character, Atlas can deal an additional 1d6 bonus damage with a successful melee attack. And fourth, Exposed Reactor, Atlas takes +1 difficulty on all engineering checks and saves. Atlas is basically a mech entirely designed to screw with not just giants, but also practically anything taller than it with these traits. Onto its weapon mount, it has 2, 1 flex and 1 main along with 5 base system points. As for its core power, Atlas can activate Bloodline Active Assist for a final hunt. After channeling the power of God and anime with a quick action, Atlas gains the following effects until the end of the scene. Movements from any sources, such as move, boost, systems, talents, whatever you can think of, are increased by 1, making Atlas even faster. Also, it now has soft cover no matter where it is, and it can even hide right in the open without any cover like a freaking ninja. The only way the enemy could find it is by using the search action or have Atlas breaking hiding via the normal, usually lethal way. Finally, for once per round, when Atlas attacks while hidden, before the attack is rolled, the target must pass a hull save or get knocked prone. In short, Atlas becomes a very sneaky ninja boy with its core power online, allowing it to hide in plain sight, get just plain faster, and beat down on anything alive. Anyway, as for the rest of the license, you get multi-gear maneuver system and Croil rifle in the first section. Multi-gear maneuver system, useful in bridging gap or tripping people. Upon activation with a quick action, you can fire a zip line 8 spaces long to connect between 2 free spaces that you can see, one must be placed right beside you. The end of the line must be attached to any surface such as wall or floor, and the line will activate at the end of your turn, granting you the following effects. Any size half character that's right next to the start or end of the line can grab onto it to travel to the other side with a quick action. They can also hop off at any point of the line. Any character larger than size half that crossed the line for the first time in a round or start their turn in the line space must pass agility save or get tripped off by the line, knocking them prone. Any character right next the start or end of the line can tear down the zip line by passing a hull check with a quick action, or using a melee attack on it. Destroying the zip line this way doesn't destroy the system, as you could reuse it, and the zip line lasts until it's destroyed or until you use the system again. It's a nice system with a dual usage for travels and tricks. Croil rifle. Is a gun that keeps your enemy close by. Okay damage, decent range, but it's inaccurate. However, its performance isn't really the weapon's main point. On hit, your target is now hooked by the gun, and any time during your target's next turn, you can boost towards the target as a reaction to any of its actions or movements by the most direct route possible. Your target must then pass a hull save or get knocked prone by your rider kick, and the effect ends afterward. However, if the target teleports, the line just snaps. In the second section, you get Jaeger Coins 1 and Ricochet Blades aside from Atlas frame itself. Jaeger Coins 1, lets you Naruto run on walls. Upon activation as a protocol with 1 heat, until the end of your current turn, each time you move right next to an object or any piece of terrain that's bigger than you, You can move 2 spaces in any direction as a free action, ignoring engagement and reactions. This can be done multiple times in a turn, but only as long as you are touching a unique piece of objects or terrain. In an urban environment, this is going to be very useful. Ricochet blades, they are just ninja stars. As a quick action, you can throw these stars as a line 3 area from your mech. All characters caught within the area must pass an agility save or take 1d3 plus 2 kinetic damage. If the line area hit a piece of terrain or object that size 1 and larger, you can repeat the line starting from said object in a new direction, forcing all characters within the new area to pass the agility save again. This only repeats once though, but it's still a rather effective limited weapon. In the final section, you get Jaeger-Koen 2 and Terashima Blade. Jaeger-Koen 2 is by far the most fucking anime system in the entire Lancer RPG. For once per round as a reaction, you can perform the Fatal Clash reaction after you take or deal damage via or from a melee attack. When Fatal Clash reaction starts, both you and your opponent are now tied in an epic battle of button smashing with giant robots. Both you and your opponent can choose to pick either hull check or agility check in a contested check, presumably to see how tough your finger is and how fast you button smash. The loser of the contest is then knocked prone and back by 3 spaces in a direction chosen by the winner, and takes 1d6 kinetic damage, while the winner moves 3 spaces in any direction, ignoring engagement and reaction. However, the loser can force a reroll of the contest, nullifying all previously mentioned effects, but they will take an additional 2 AP kinetic damage on top of everything else that cannot be reduced or prevented by any means if they lose again. This can continue until one side accepts the result, or takes structure damage, in which case they immediately lose. When a tie happens, the contest just ends because both of you suck. While it's limited, Jaeger-Koen 2 acts as a source of additional damage since it's a reaction. It even has a huge potential of finishing off an opponent too if you stack the odds against them. And finally, Terashima Blade is a sword, a really good one. Okay, damage, short threat, and costs 2 system points. If that cost seems outrageous to you, that's because the weapon is outrageous itself. As a protocol, you can take one of the following stance which continues until you take another stance, get the weapon destroyed, or are stunned or jammed. You can start the fight with a stance chosen already. First, Troll Stance, gives the weapon inaccurate tag, which is bad, but also AP and plus 3 damage, which is amazing. Second, Storm Stance, for once per round after hitting people with the sword, you may immediately cut everyone around you and your target as a reaction for 2 kinetic damage. Third, Lord Stance, prevents you from making any ranged or tech attack, but any ranged attack that misses you can be deflected by you back at any character of your choice within range 3 and line of sight for 2 kinetic, energy, or explosive damage depending on the ranged weapon's damage type. Any melee attack that misses you forces the attacker to pass a hull save or get knocked prone. And fourth, Wind Stance, the weapon gains a longer threat, reliable 2 and knockback 2. After attacking with the weapon, hit or miss, you may move 2 spaces in any direction which ignore engagement and reactions. Basically, this is the most flexible melee weapon in existence that can also be paired with the most flexible melee class talents in the book. It's insanely good. As a conclusion, Atlas is an insanely strong powerhouse that can bring any foes larger than it down to its knees while being incredibly anime. Against foes that stand as tall as it might have some problems, but it's not something a blade that can't handle. Remember, if you ever gonna use this mech, you might as well go all in on maximum anime.